The sun has left and forgotten me.
Hi, do not adjust your sex. This is Neil C. Hughes. When I first heard that it was Sarah's 400th episode of her podcast, I wanted to record a little forward to celebrate the anniversary, because I smile at how accidental it all was. In 2018, I was speaking at Sarah's no longer virtual event in Denver, and my message that day was simple. Hey, anyone can start a podcast. All you need is a willingness to sit down, press record, and have a conversation. Now, I offered to help every single person in the room launch their own show. And what did I get in return? Absolute tumbleweed. Back then, people were obviously self-conscious, don't like the sound of their own voice, the effort behind the production, or how people would perceive them releasing a podcast onto their professional network. Maybe people would look and think they were faking it. There were so many reasons why people were afraid to take that leap. But Sarah was different. She didn't hesitate. Maybe she wasn't burdened by those concerns, or maybe she simply decided that, hey, throwing caution to the wind was better than me look a little foolish at an event 5,000 miles away from where I live. Either way, that small, serendipitous moment made Sarah an accidental podcaster. And what has followed has been nothing short of remarkable. 400 episodes later, that leap of faith has led to her publishing her own book, standing on a TEDx stage, and inspiring thousands of people who think more deeply about how they tell their stories. But what I admire most about Sarah is that she treats her podcast like the mountain that she climbs in Montana. It's never been about rushing to the summit and celebrating at the top there of, hey, look at me, I've got 400, 500, 600 episodes. It's about enjoying the climb, enjoying the journey, noticing the views along the way, and proving time and time again that our stories don't define us, but it's how we tell them that truly matter. But I've taken up far too much of your time. I just wanted to give a quick congratulations on reaching 400 episodes and everything this has achieved by simply agreeing to release a podcast episode. But now, back to Sarah.
Your stories don't define you, but how you tell them will. I can't believe I'm introducing my 400th episode. I just can't see how that happened. It feels like yesterday that I recorded a podcast titled An Accidental Podcaster Hits Her 300th Episode. And this is perfect timing. The stars have aligned, so to speak, because this episode falls in the middle of the Jewish High Holy Days, Rosh Hashanah, the Jewish New Year, and Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement. These are the biggest holidays for us, the equivalent of Christmas and Easter for Christians. I don't consider myself a religious Jew. I love the rituals in Judaism, the cyclical nature of our practices, the focus on learning and personal growth. And our holidays are based on the lunar calendar, in case you were wondering why they seem to move around on our standard calendar. According to the Torah, the Jewish Bible, God opens the book of life on the new year and closes it on the Day of Atonement 10 days later. And we say we hope to be written in the book for a good and healthy year. When we greet each other, it's with Shana Tova, which means a good year. Or we have a longer greeting, L'shana Tova Tikatevu V'Tikatemu. May you be inscribed and sealed for a good year. Between the two holidays is time for reflection, the time to apologize to those we've wronged, to ourselves for not living up to our own potential, to the environment and our community for not always bringing our best. It's also the time we choose to forgive others, forgive ourselves, to make amends with clear intention and purpose to live fully in our goodness in the current year. An apology is meaningless if we don't intend to change something, so the harm doesn't happen again. On the Sunday before Rosh Hashanah this year, I took a hike with a group organized by members of the Montana Jewish Project. You can learn more about them by clicking on the link in the show notes at elkinsconsulting.com. We met at a trailhead, 7 people and 4 dogs. We took our time on the nearly 1,000-foot climb to a ridge south of town and found a perfect spot to sit down on fallen logs while my friend Martha facilitated a discussion about the word teshuvah, which translated from Hebrew is return. She thought it was a good topic for this time of year, and she began by sharing her own thoughts about what is meant by return. She said she thinks about it in terms of returning to our core goodness. She believes this is our opportunity to remember, find, and bring our hearts back to that core in action. When she said the word teshuvah, I immediately thought of the book Braiding Sweetgrass, written by Robin Wall Kimmerer. I read that book last year after it was gifted to me by my dear friend Jeff Eichler. In the book, she refers to the word reciprocity. And since reading it, I think of everything in that context. When I receive, what am I giving in return? And when I give, what am I receiving? It's not about giving and receiving in equal measure, a direct trade or exchange. For me, it shows up on my hikes when I reach a spot to stop and breathe. I look up to see a hawk soaring above me, and I hear the beating of its wings in the quiet of the mountain. I touch a tree beside me to feel its rough bark and know that that tree is partially responsible for the clean air I'm breathing. In reciprocity for this experience, I offer gratitude. I may even say thank you out loud. It's in reciprocity that I pick up the trash I see, other people's dogs' poop. And in the way I try to limit my consumption of plastic by refilling my spice containers or the soap instead of buying it in plastic. I pay attention to where and how I spend money and time. Reciprocity shows up for me in my relationship with myself. When I work hard in my garden or cleaning my house or being especially productive with my work, I then take time to reciprocate by resting, reading a book, or taking a hike. It shows up in all of my relationships, and it's taken me decades to realize how critical it is in that area of my life. With my spouse, I don't think of it with each thing we do for each other or our household. You mow the lawn, so I do the laundry. I think of it in more of an emotional context. We're here for each other. We celebrate our wins. We use our words to ensure we're communicating our needs. And sometimes we take turns taking care of each other. Years ago, a friend told me that her relationship with her former business partner didn't work out. She felt like it wasn't equal, that she was putting in more energy and time into the relationship and the business than her partner was. My friend shared that in a conversation with her husband, he said, "Julie, stop chasing people who don't treat you the way you deserve to be treated. You have so many people in your life who love you, who enjoy spending time with you, and you enjoy spending time with. They build you up and reciprocate your kindness and love. Why are you chasing the ones who don't?" Back then, hearing those words, I was reminded why I had stopped collecting people who didn't reciprocate. And the discussion on the mountain last Sunday reminded me again about this word: return, reciprocity, teshuvah. What we put into the world is what we get out of it. Share positive energy, love, generosity of spirit, kindness, strength, compassion, resilience, self-respect, and courage. And these things come back to you. Share gossip, cruelty, criticism, fear, ignorance, anger, blame, and shame. And that's exactly what you'll get in return. The conversation about Teshuvah also brought back the words we learned from a book gifted to us when our younger son was born, The Blessing of a Skinned Knee, Raising Self-Reliant Children by Wendy Mogul. It was the only book about parenting that I read start to finish, and it had huge influence. What I took from that book is that each of us is born with the potential for good and evil. And our job as parents is to nurture our children's goodness and to help them recognize when they do things that hurt others and themselves. They are individually responsible for their choices, and it's critical they have guidance to know the consequences of those choices. What is the reciprocity in their lives? The other part of the book that has stayed with me for nearly 25 years are the words she suggested we reinfuse into every part of our lives: sanctification, celebration, and moderation. Our boys understood how to moderate everything from the food they ate to playtime, from reading and schoolwork to outdoor adventures in the sun and snow. When our older son was 5, he asked to stop at McDonald's during some errand running, and I said, "You know McDonald's is a special treat, and you haven't really earned it. You haven't been a good listener today." His answer surprised me. "Well, Mommy, you always say moderation, and I don't even remember the last time we had McDonald's." We stopped for a treat at McDonald's. In our household, our exploration of sanctification started at our dining room table, which was our meeting place, the sacred part of our home where we talked about gratitude for our clean air, the water we drink, the food on our table, our health and our community, where we welcomed guests and nurtured soul and body. And boy, do we know how to celebrate. At almost every meal, we'd find something to toast, clinking our glasses together with enthusiasm and humor. I wish I had included reciprocity as one of those meaningful words to infuse into our lives back then, reminding our children with a specific word that everything we do has consequences, that everything is reciprocal. And now here we are, at the end of the 400th episode of my podcast, Your Stories Don't Define You, How You Tell Them Will. This journey has taken me to interesting and challenging places. It's given me incredible opportunities to meet and have deep, thoughtful conversations with people all over the world. From right here on the couch in my living room in Montana to Perth in Western Australia, and maybe all the way across the world to a small village in Japan. It's opportunities to meeting potential guests in random places like the airport in Atlanta, Georgia, or while waiting in line to eat at a restaurant in Bari, Italy. I've infused this journey with all 4 of my words. Though I've published nearly every Tuesday since December of 2017, I record episodes in moderation, making sure I don't burn out from trying to do too much. I've held space for hundreds of stories, playing my role in the sanctification of other people's lives and experiences. I couldn't be more grateful for those sacred times. And with my community, I've celebrated major milestones, recently being selected to speak on the stage of a TEDx event. My 100th, 200th, 300th, and now 400th episodes. Listeners have joined me for multiple birthday celebrations, sharing in my self-reflection over the years, commenting, singing along, and encouraging and supporting my journey. My lessons in reciprocity have been overwhelming. Whatever I put out into the world, whatever I give, share, and joyfully contribute seems to come back to me tenfold. In the generosity and love I receive from Neil Hughes, producer of this podcast, dear, dear friend. in the help I received from my assistant, Chinook Bromley, for writing all those show notes and publishing my podcast, in the comments and recognition I received from my guests and listeners, and the friendships created and nurtured over these years. I want to thank you from my heart for being part of this journey. And here's to the next 100 episodes. And of course, listeners, I can't end without putting this in your lap next. What words do you infuse in your life, relationships, and actions? What role does reciprocity play for you? And what was one thing in this episode that's so sticky that you will change something, behavior, actions, or maybe even something in your internal dialogue? Thank you so much, as always, for listening.
You must keep on trying. Smile, what's the use of crying? You'll find that life is still worthwhile if you just smile.